The story is set during the Joseon dynasty, when a king was about to approach one of his concubines. The king's concubine waited expectantly, especially when she heard footsteps approaching her chambers. However, she was shocked to discover that it wasn't the king himself who arrived, but a handsome man in a long robe. The concubine attempted to defend herself by brandishing a knife, but the man calmly approached her. Unexpectedly, the man suddenly bit the concubine's neck, causing her to collapse. The king, who had just arrived and witnessed the incident, was both heartless and helpless. And it turned out to be just a story read by the crown prince, Jung Haeon. It turned out that Prince Jung Haeon enjoyed writing novels, and it was his third novel, entitled The Vampire Who Devours the King's Women. He had a best friend and personal bodyguard named Kim Sung-yeol.
자네의 그 뛰어난 문장력을
주상전하께서도 참관한다 하시니
어떠할 것 같은가?
음란사생이 아깝지 않을.
That night, Sung-yeol met his lover, Mung-hee. They looked like a romantic couple, very happy because in 15 days they would be married.
일이 너를 안 떠냐? 응?
오라버니!
명희야! 은혜한다 명희야!
In the palace, the king spoke to Prince Jung-han that it was time for the prince to prepare himself to become the next king. Prince Jung-han did not answer. He stared at the corpse of the concubine, who lay stiff and had to bite marks on her neck. It turns out that Prince Jung-haen's third novel isn't just a story or legend, but a horrifying reality within the palace. The concubine's corpse was immediately burned for fear of turning into a vampire. Shortly after, Sung-yeol arrived, full of curiosity. He asked why Prince Jung-haen had been searching for a book about vampires for 3 months and why so many concubines had suddenly left. Prince Jung-haen tried to cover up the existence of vampires in the palace.
이빨에 물린 상처가 있었사옵니다.
The next day, Prince Jung-haen took Sung-yeol to a bamboo forest. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed past them. Sung-yeol tried to attack the person, but the person floated and became invisible like the wind. In a cave, the king stood before a vampire. The vampire reminded him that 200 years ago, when Goryeo was about to fall, the king's ancestor came to him. He wanted to gain the vampire's power to establish the kingdom and become king. In exchange, his descendants would serve the vampire forever. The king bowed his head, unable to argue. That's why the vampire roamed the palace and drank the blood of the king's concubines. Sung-yeol and Prince Jung-haeon sat with the mysterious man. Prince Jung-haeon explained that the one who lived in the palace and ruled the kings was a vampire, named Gui, a human blood drinker. It turned out that the old man was also a vampire, named Hae-seo, but unlike Gui, he was a protective vampire, who lived to punish vampires who broke the rules. Hae-seo had a secret plan to help them get rid of Gui. There would be a total lunar eclipse in 2 days. At that time, the vampire's power would weaken. He told them to meet him on that day and prepare his secret plan. Upon their return from Hae-seo's residence, Prince Jung-haen said he had written down his secret weapon in detail in his notebook. He instructed that if anything happened to him, the book would be sent to Sung-yeol, and Sung-yeol would be the one to replace him.
반드시 저 안을 지킬 것이옵니다.
At Hae-seo's residence, Gui came to her and immediately attacked her. He even tore off one of Hae-seo's arms. Gui was shocked because the one in front of him was the teacher he had destroyed 200 years ago, but still alive. He opened his teacher's clothes and saw a beating heart behind a bare skeleton.
네가 생각하는 것만큼 인간 위에 군림하며 살 것입니다.
He then took his teacher's knife, a special sunza-wood knife for exterminating vampires. Then he stabbed it into his teacher's chest. At the palace, Prince Jung-hoon was reading his notebook when Gui suddenly picked it up and slammed it down. Gui read Prince Jung-hoon's journal and read the names written there. He suspected they were the names of people connected to the secret weapon to destroy him. Gui calmly stated that he would arrest everyone involved, including Prince Jung-han. He ordered the chief eunuch to arrest Prince Jung-han, and, of course, the chief eunuch complied. Sung-yeol was on his way to Prince Jung-han's residence when he saw the chief eunuch ordering his men to seal off Prince Jung-han's residence and search for several people. They were also ordered to arrest Sung-yeol, who was branded a traitor. Since the kingdom had made a pact with Gui, anyone who intended to destroy Gui would be considered a traitor. Sung-yeol immediately spurred his horse. By nightfall, he arrived at Haeseo's residence. Suddenly, Haeseo's free hand grabbed him and dragged him into the house. He was shocked to see Haeseo lying on the floor. The vampire told him to come closer. Sung-yeol continued to approach, and suddenly Haeseo bit his neck. It was certain that after this, Sung-yeol would become a vampire. This was done because Haeseo wanted to transfer her powers to Sung-yeol so that he would be the only vampire who could fight Gui. Haeseo also warned him never to take off his black robe. Sung-yeol finally regained consciousness after 3 days of unconsciousness. Wearing a black robe that appeared to have been replaced by his severed arm, Sung-yeol limped back to the city. He was shocked to hear people talking about the traitor, Prince Jung-haeon. They gathered in front of the palace gates. There were rows of beheaded heads, along with the charges against them. Sung-yeol cried when he saw his best friend's name there. He rushed forward, but he was even more shocked when he saw the name of his father, also a victim. He immediately screamed and raged, his eyes red and his fangs lengthening. Suddenly, a blow to the head knocked him unconscious. When Sung-yeol regained consciousness, he was tied up in Gui's vampire cave. He was shocked to see the bodies of Prince Jung-han's wife and child lying stiff on the ground. He struggled to free himself from the ropes. Gui saw that Sung-yeol had been bitten by a vampire. But why hadn't he drunk blood yet? Sung-yeol should have died if he hadn't drunk blood in half a day.
갈기갈기 찢어 죽일 것이야.
He grabbed Sung-yeol and asked if his teacher, Haeseo, had bitten him. However, Sung-yeol spat in Gui's face, enraging Gui.
그럼 내게 이 나라를 줘.
당당히 태양 아래 나설 수도 없고. 다 끝난 게 아니다.
Soon, Myung-hee's cries were heard, calling for Sung-yeol. Gui held Myung-hee hostage by holding a knife to her neck. He scratched Myung-hee's arm. Sung-yeol immediately ran towards him, but Gui stabbed him with the knife. Gui said Sung-yeol would die if he didn't drink Myung-hee's blood. He also said that Myung-hee wouldn't give up her life to save Sung-yeol, who had turned into a vampire. Unexpectedly, Myung-hee stood up and immediately stabbed herself with the knife Gui was holding. Sung-yeol, already furious, pushed Gui with all his strength, throwing him onto the rocks, which collapsed on top of him. Sung-yeol immediately hugged Myung-hee. He asked her lover to drink his blood so she could live and fulfill her ambition.
이러세요.
120 years later, a young man jogged happily through the market. Of course, we already knew that he wasn't a young man, but a girl disguised as a man. She was Jo Young's son. Yang Sun looked very happy, because she had managed to contact the scholar, Em Seok Gul. With luck, the scholar could become her customer. That night, Yang Sun arrived at the Jisong's place to meet the scholar in question, carrying a squirrel in her arms, as its leg was injured. Finally, she confronted the scholar under a curtain. The scholar was known to have a vast library, having purchased over hundreds of books in 3 months. It turned out that the scholar was Song Yale, having become a vampire. He would live forever. Song Yale asked if Yang Sun could get any books, and Yang Sun agreed. Song Yale asked Yang Sun to find Prince Young Haen's notebook. However, Yang Sun seemed unfamiliar with the book. She also didn't know if Prince Young Haen was a Hosein prince. Suddenly, a squirrel from Yang Sun's sleeve scurried across the table and into Song Yale's lap. Without thinking, Yang Sun pulled back the curtain and searched Song Yale. Upon finding it, the squirrel bit Yang Sun's hand, drawing blood. As you can see, his vampire instincts were coming out. Song Yale's eyes widened at the sight of Yang Sun's blood. He turned his face away to hide his reddened eyes and bared fangs. Yang Sun is asked to find several books within 3 days. After Yang Sun leaves, Song Yale talks with his 2 servants, Su Hyung and Ho Jin. Song Yale is looking for that notebook to find out what Prince Young Hyun's actual plan was to eliminate Gwai. He pulls out 2 books and compares them. Prince Jung Hyun's pen name is Lustful Scholar. It was written by Lustful Scholar with the main character named Hugh Yule, which is Prince Jung Hyun's childhood name. His 2 servants are shocked by the similarities between the 2 books. It turns out that Prince Jung Hyun's name has been erased from history, which explains why Yang Sun was unfamiliar with his name earlier.
이 서책이 퍼지기 시작한 곳이 그분의 기록을 가진 자다.
At home, Yang Sun tells a story to her stepsister named Dam. She tells the story of the Scholar of the Night.
어떤 밤선비전 이야기가 마구마구 떠오르는 거지.
At that time, dozens of women and young girls were being held captive and were about to be sold by a group of evil men.
천삼태 일당이 그리 팔아넘긴 여인이
Then came a man known as the Scholar of the Night. He swiftly exterminated all those evildoers with ease.
그렇게 우리의 밤선비님.
After finishing the story, Yang Sun says that if the Scholar of the Night book sells well, she will use the money to treat Dam's leg, so she can walk again. It turns out that what Yang Sun told her sister was a real event. Song Yale truly is the Scholar of the Night who eliminated a group of criminals. Song Yale destroys the criminals he has bitten using a sunserwood stake, and then he burns them to ensure that those he bit disappear and do not turn into vampires. Meanwhile, Gui senses that Song Yale has successfully turned someone into a vampire, so he begins searching for Song Yale's whereabouts.
쥐새끼 마냥 잘도 숨어다니는구나. 풀어줄 수가 있겠느냐? 당당히 내 앞에 모습을 드러내 보란 말이다.
On a sunny day, Yang Sun gathers with some children while telling the story of the Scholar of the Night. Soon after, 2 men arrive to collect her debts. If she doesn't pay them soon, they threaten to sell Yang Sun's family.
이달 안에 싹 다 갚을 것입니다.
그 안에 다 정리해.
그 큰 돈을 어찌 사하라네.
Meanwhile, Sung, Yale and Ho Jin go to the place where the book Booyah Uiok was published. The location is on a hill, far from any village or city. When they arrive, the place is deserted. They are shocked to find a tub filled with corpses, all with sword slashes on their necks.
음란 서생을 찾는 이가
While Yang Sun is selling the Scholar of the Night book to some girls, a man named Lee Yoon approaches her to talk. He tells her that she resembles a friend from his past to whom he once gave something precious.
너와 내가 나눠 가지자꾸나.
딱 봐도 진귀한 물건인 듯한데.
At the same time, many soldiers arrive looking for someone, causing chaos. Yang Sun runs inside to hide and enters Sung Yeol's room, thinking it is empty, and dares to change her clothes. However, Sung Yeol is actually in the room and sees Yang Sun's disguise. Then Sung Yeol confronts her, and Yang Sun appears frightened. She begs him to help cover up her disguise from the soldiers. At first, he refuses, but in the end, he agrees to help her.
은혜를 잊지 않겠다. 내 구경꾼을 청한 적이 없는 듯한데 이만 나가 주시겠소.
At the palace, Li Yun meets his grandfather, the king. The king angrily throws a scroll in front of Li Yun. The scroll contains a petition to remove Li Yun from his position as crown prince. Meanwhile, pamphlets are being spread among the people. The pamphlets state that Lustful Scholar is a story about Prince Sedong, Li Yun's father. It tells of Prince Sedong's unjust death and claims that the ones who falsely accused him of plotting a coup were power-hungry nobles, including the king himself. It also mentions that the same thing happened 120 years ago. The king, who also sees the pamphlet, argues with Li Yun. Sung Yale believes that it was not the king or anyone else who framed Prince Sedong, but rather Gui was the one behind it. Sung Yale says that he witnessed Gui eliminate 2 princes.
귀보단 내가 먼저 음란세상을 차지해야 한다. 정년세세 저하를 알고 있는 것이 분명하다.
Inside a cave, there is a young girl in Gui who is holding one of the news pamphlets, spreading among the people. Gui says he killed Prince Sedong because the prince tried to destroy him using a secret plan. Gui tells the girl to look behind her, where Prince Sedong's corpse lies.
내 가지고 있던 정연세자 비망록을 훔쳐가서 나로.
After that, Gui kills the girl by drowning and biting her. On the other side, Ho Jin delivers the books entrusted by Yang Sun to Sung Yil. One of them is a book written by Prince Jung Haen, which tells about Gui, a vampire who lives in the kingdom. Sung Yale becomes even more curious about who Lustful Scholar really is and how he could know so much about Prince Jung Hunyong. While on her way home, Young Sun is attacked by a girl who has been turned into a vampire by Gui. Fortunately, Sung Yale arrives just in time to save her. Gui realizes this and reveals that it was actually a trap to find out Sung Yale's whereabouts. At the same time, Young Sun senses something strange and asks Sung Yale whether he is not human.